podcast is solely of the creator, host, co host, and guest, and may not necessarily reflect the views, thoughts, or opinions of the listener or viewers. So, viewer discretion is advised. Curiosity drives us to explore the unknown. On Explained Strange, we'll investigate the bizarre, the unexplained, and the unsettling. Sorry, there's a reverb. And we're going to just talk about the strange, from paranormal encounters to urban legends and the mysterious. We question the strange and the spooky. Today, I am your host, Melanie. And let's bring in our guest, shall we? We have Teal Gray.
Hello.
Hi, Teal. Can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hello, I'm Teal Gray. I am a sacred site traveler and paranormal investigator. I'm an author of a number of a little bit spooky books you might like.
All right. So this is Teal. So welcome, Teal. And
Thank you, Melanie.
we have another guest with us that you might know. Let's bring her in. Hi.
Can you hear me?
This is Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear her?
Oh, yes.
All right. Can you introduce yourself to everybody that's watching?
Yes, my name is Jamie Mose.
Hi, Jamie. Welcome to the
Hello.
show. Tell us a little
Thank
bit about
you.
yourself.
Well, I'm from Ardmore, Oklahoma, and I have worked in healthcare for about 26, 27 years now. But I've been in the paranormal for also about 22, 23 years. I've done it for quite some time. Um, but I got started by having something happen to me that I couldn't explain, I couldn't understand, so it made me get really interested and wanted to figure out why it happened and why it happened to me. And so anyway, that's what got me started in the paranormal.
That's interesting. And what got you started in the paranormal, Teal?
Well, ever since I was a child, I could see things. And then as I got a little bit older, I realized not everybody could. And so I didn't really understand it. And then I had three older brothers, and one of them was actually kind about it and said, look, you're seeing spirits or ghosts or things. And I was like, whoa, it was scary to me, as a little kid. And still sometimes it's scary to me. I don't think I ever lost
Yeah.
that. But, it just made me really curious. And then through the years of having so many different experiences and things, I actually went through seminary, and just to learn more about, actually you would think the opposite, but actually I learned a lot through seminary about, spiritual things and ghosts and everything, because the Bible is riddled with the paranormal. And I don't
Yes.
understand how so many people who claim to be, Christian or whatever, they're like, oh, it's evil. And I'm like, well, but it's your book is filled with it. I think probably, at least 80% of it is in there. And some of it's pretty specific. So if you one thing I did learn is no matter what your, religion is or beliefs or non-beliefs, doesn't matter, because you can just use it as a historical reference, really. Um,
Absolutely.
and yeah, but if you laid them all on top of each other with a clear, format, you would see that they're different. They're the same story told in a different way, different names, whatever, but it's the same basic thing. And they all have sort of, tales of spirits and the other world and the dark world. And, and it's the truth. I mean, there's as many light angels as dark angels. And that was one thing that led me to write my first book, Shades of Angels, because people around the world would say, Teal, I got to ask you, I'm really into this angel thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And they're like, but woo, it's a mixed bag of tricks. And I'm like, it really shouldn't be. What do you mean? And finally, just my light bulb went off. So I don't think I'm the sharpest tack in the box, but it finally went off that everybody thought angel just meant good, that just the word meant good. But there's as
Yeah.
many dark and different levels of dark angels as there are light.
I
So
absolutely agree. Yes.
yeah, and you have to tell people, I tell them now, be very specific. You have to say good angels, and
Yeah.
so that was one thing that I picked up on through the years.
That's amazing. I'm actually glad that you picked that up because a lot of people are like, they're based on their religions when they're out there paranormal investigating. And some
Yeah.
people just aren't open enough to like see into other religions. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And I
And their
think we're
beliefs
all
can
one
be
and the
very.
same.
That's right. And that's such a good point that you brought up about having that clash in your investigations, because sometimes when you are investigating something or there's an issue, let's say with a house or a building, even doesn't matter, historic property, whatever, but and they're having trouble getting through, or they're trying to get through and they're getting more anger. Well, sometimes there's, obvious reasons for that because of what you're dealing with, but sometimes it's because you're coming at them from your religion, and that's very opposite to theirs. And so
Yeah.
you're not finding that common ground. I think you do have to go in completely just open with no presets, and you're going to have a lot better luck with your evidence and
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't like to like even think that there's bad out there. Like they're going out there with these equipments and just thinking that that's all fun
Right.
and games. It's like, whoa, you guys have to be careful sometimes,
You
you know?
do. And I tell them, you also have to cleanse. Not only Jamie and I had an experience with that where we knew better, and I just got through giving a little talk about it. But we got so busy, and things will make you hectic sometimes so that you forget, or you just go on and like, I'll clean it later. But you have to cleanse yourself, your equipment, or you're bringing equipment maybe from a very dark situation into something that's actually, maybe nothing's there. Maybe it's a small thing, but now you've brought in the whole, crew, and it's a very different situation. So you have to be,
Absolutely.
you're right. You have to cleanse yourself and everything else.
That's good advice. Now let's talk about the para hunters. This is a very large group of ghost hunters that you guys have. Like that's actually incredible all on its own. So are you
Uh,
guys like all diverse, or do you like clash heads about what this EVP says? No, I think it says this. Or you guys just like really like get along and have like a big roundtable discussion? I
I
think that's
gotta
beautiful.
I gotta say, I'm really honored, like, because everybody on the team could have their own team. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's a really crazy thing, but we all came together because we're good friends. But we don't. We are really, as friends, even, and Jamie can tell you, we're really close friends, and especially Jamie and Susan and I. And we are open. We're just always open to whatever anybody thinks, because my idea might not be the one. Jamie's might be the one, or maybe it's Susan, or maybe it's a combination of all of them. So we're really open to, like, it doesn't we don't have the ego in it. I think that's a
right.
big thing. We don't care about being it or the one, or it was my idea or whatever. We just always go into it with a team mentality, and
Mhm.
I think that's the way to go. And in fact, we just had a huge investigation for the city of Denton. We did the Oddfellows cemetery, and they've
Oh,
never had an investigation there before. So we were all really honored. They weren't thinking there was going to be very many people there. In fact, they were thinking if we got 50, that would like break the bank. And did Jamie and I knew, we were like, no, we're going to have more than that. But I did plan for about 200. We blew through those wristbands and pins in the first 20 minutes. There was over 350 people there. And Jamie, I'll let you tell her about how smooth it went. But it was a beautiful thing, and every one of the team members had their own station. I had them, spread out between the 22 acres, which is a big place.
that does,
And
yeah.
they brought it. I'm telling you, I know I can put complete faith in them. Like, they've got it covered. And but Jamie was kind of like touched at how smooth it went. So I'll let her tell about that.
Yeah, well, again, I was shocked at how many people were there because in my head, I thought, well, we'll probably see like 5 or 6 people at a time. And then maybe, once we wrap everything up, we'll get to go investigate with everybody else. Oh no, there was like 30, 40 people at a time at our table. And, everybody's trying to talk to us and we're trying to answer their questions. And I hated it because a lot of people wanted to talk to us and ask us questions, but they just weren't able to get to us. And so that's why I'm excited for the next event coming up at the library in Denton, because I'm hoping that some of those people will come back and hopefully get to talk to us. But yeah, there were so many people there the whole time at our table. We didn't even get to go investigate with everyone else because
Oh,
Yeah.
we
wow.
were there. But we got to talk to so many people. We actually I had taken some of my haunted dolls with me. And so I was even challenged at one point. This one guy was a very strong skeptic, which is good. I mean, we need the skeptics out there, but he was like, well, what makes your dolls haunted? And I said, well, I said, I use my equipment to speak with them and everything. And I said, and I found out a lot of information about them and everything. And he goes, well, can they talk to me? Can you show me? And I was like, sure. I said, I'll give it a try. And so I used my dowsing rods and I asked, who wants to talk? So I went specifically to this one doll named Akila. And then she started answering his questions and he was floored at how many times that she did answer and she answered correctly and everything. And because I would ask her about all the stuff I already knew about her, like how she got killed, when she died, and all that stuff. And she was answering. And so, yeah, he was shocked at,
Now, where do you find these haunted dolls?
they're all over the place. Some I find myself. I'll go to like antique stores or just different places. And for some reason, I'm kind of drawn to them. So I can I have no abilities whatsoever, but that is the only thing I can say is a lot of times I get drawn to them. And then a lot of times I even keep equipment with me. So I'll kind of check them out with like the K2 meter or something like that just to see if I get anything. And then if I do, I bring them home. And then again, I use my equipment to talk to them. I use, the Ovulus. I use the Spirit Box, just different things. But they seem to really respond most to the dowsing rods. But
Oh,
I know a lot of people don't
interesting.
believe in those. But
I
anyway,
believe in
because
them.
I can get their names because I go through the alphabet and spell out their names. I can get the years because we use those for the numbers. Well, and then sometimes they just flat out tell me, like I was using the Ovulus with one and he flat told me his name. So that way I didn't have to go through the alphabet and everything. But anyway, but yeah, they give me all the information about themselves. And so it's just really interesting. But then I do get some dolls that were given to me because, somebody may have went to the antique store or something. And then once they got the doll, they started having nightmares or started seeing shadow people or different things like that. And so they know that I'm into the haunted dolls. And so I've gotten a few dolls that way because they wanted to get rid of them. So, and
Oh, interesting.
when I bring them in, we have a talk and I tell them, that they can stay in the house. They get their own little case and their own space and everything, but they have to behave. If they
Mhm.
try to do anything stupid or start trying to cause any trouble, they will go out into storage and will not be in the house with everyone else. So
Have you
I've
had
never had
any
to put
out in the
any,
storage jail?
I have not had to put anybody out in storage, even the ones that people were terrified of. Once they come in, they're okay. So I don't
Maybe
know.
they just
We
need
just
some
have an
love.
understanding. I'm sorry.
Maybe they just need like a little love, like a
I think
doll,
so too. I think so too. And a lot of them, they just want their stories told. They just want people to
Yeah,
remember who they were. And so,
yes.
yeah. And so I
That's what
try
I
to,
do. Yeah, I go to like cemeteries and I'm drawn to like certain headstones and I'll sit there and
Yeah.
kind of talk to the headstone, like try to get their story. So very interesting. They just want to be
oh,
heard, is what I'm getting.
I'm
Yeah.
exactly the same way. When I walk in, I'll just start saying, hi, Mr. Whoever, or hi, Mrs. Whoever, nice to see you, nice to meet you. And then, of course, if I make a mistake and step on somebody's grave, I'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, whoever, I
Mhm.
didn't mean to
Yeah.
step on your grave. But yeah, I just
Yeah.
talk to them like they're there with me. So
Yeah, but that's also respectful too. I had to giggle a little bit, Jamie, when you were talking about having your equipment with you when you're shopping. I could just imagine in an antique store or a doll shop or something, you pull out your equipment, and the people behind the desk are like, "What's happening?"
well, I try to be discreet. I try not to just, flail it all around, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's funny.
So you
Mm.
worked in healthcare for a long time, you said?
I still do. Yep,
Do
I
you
do
get like
physical
a lot of
therapy.
activity around this time of year because the veil is kind of thin? Is the activity more active certain times
I haven't seen that. For me, it's active all year round.
all year round?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
So not like
I have not really
crazier
seen a
during the
whole
full
lot of.
moon?
I'm sorry.
Is it like crazier during like the full moon?
Now, sometimes that does happen. Yeah, with the full
Okay.
moons now, I have noticed that activity is stronger. It seems like and can increase more, but around Halloween, I don't really notice a lot of difference. But again, I'm going. year round. You know, I investigate all year round, and I go all across the United States. I've been to Europe twice. I'll be going back again in May, doing different paranormal investigations and stuff. So yeah, it's almost 24/7 with me. So
You were like sliding right into my next question because I noticed that you both travel a lot, like
Yeah.
a lot. So,
Yeah, we
have you
do.
both been to Bobby Mackey's?
yes,
Jamie
You've been
has.
to,
I have
yes.
been
okay.
by it and not been in. Yeah.
What do you think about this rebuild, remodel that they're doing with it? Because I live fairly close to Bobby Mackey's. I'm like in rural Ohio. Like this
Well,
ghost hunting
Mm.
stuff is like crazy here.
Yeah.
yeah, I can understand it because the building was in pretty bad shape, but
Hmm.
I don't think that it will really affect too much of the haunting, just because I believe it's attached to the, to the land and
Hmm.
attached to that area. So,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure how that's going to turn out, but yeah, I just hated it that they had to do that. But again, I've been in there and I understand, because
Yeah.
it would have taken way more money than the building was worth to fix it back up. So
Yeah.
it's
I did
And I
unfortunate.
I
hear that
didn't.
they're keeping that well, and
Oh
Yeah.
they're
yeah.
gonna like make a display
Mhm.
for it, I
Yeah.
guess. So,
Yeah.
and the wall of faces, they're keeping that too, but everything else is gonna be
Oh.
brand new.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to be fine. Like Jamie said, I wasn't able to go in just because I ended up it being at like the wee hours, when I was there.
Hmm.
But outside, you could still pick up a lot from outside. So, as you said, the land, I think it's just the area and inside. I think it's so permeated. I don't think you could do too much that's going to make anything go away. I think it's just there to stay.
Yeah. Very true. And since you guys like using a lot of different equipment, like dowsing rods, for instance, what do you think about the Ouija boards? I'm doing a survey here, okay? A lot of people don't like Ouija boards, but
No,
the way I see
they
it,
will
it's
work
like
every time. I
they
mean,
work.
every time they work. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you make one. I don't care if you pick one up and it's half broken. It will work. They will work
Yeah,
every time, 100%, and they will be scarily accurate. And it's
yeah.
very seductive. I don't use them personally. I have once. I didn't even know what it was. I was young. I was like 16. That's a story in a book. But it was an old one that had been passed through the family back through even the witch trials. It was very old.
Oh,
And that's quite the thing. But it worked to the point that even the table was rocking, like shaking and moving up and down, the whole thing. And the other girl that was, oh gosh, I mean, she was older to me at the time. She was probably in her 30s. But she was like, no, we just want you to touch it. We hear your mother says you have, gifts. And I was like, I don't even know. I didn't know what they were talking about. I thought I was there to see this beautiful antique house and, all the historic house, all these antiques and things. And it was a weird situation, but I did it because there was this whole group of women. They were it was a weird deal. But so she's like, just touch it. You just have to just barely touch it. Don't move, don't move anything. And everybody was there to see that we weren't physically touching the table. We were barely touching and sometimes not touching at all the Ouija board. But once it started working, it worked immediately. Not for, they couldn't open it. And so they were using me as the opener, and it did open. But other spirits were rushing in. It was just something I had never experienced before, and I still have not to this day. But the problem is they were so upset because all these spirits were, things was happening in the house and noises and the table was jumping, and they panicked and said, "Get her out of here." So I opened it, but I didn't close it.
oh,
So there you go. So
oh.
open portals still to this day. I mean,
Oh, cool.
um, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm investigating this haunted apartment like a couple of blocks away from me, and it's she thinks she has a portal in her house. And this is the first time I've ever encountered anything like that. And how do you
Hmm.
know that it's a portal, like for say?
It's an energy source. Like it will be, sometimes portals are constant, sometimes portals open and close, obviously, but it'll usually be in the same area, the same spot, at least in
Yes.
my experience. I don't know, Jamie, have you got any experience with the portals?
I have only seen one, and the only thing, of course, I don't have any abilities or anything, but the only thing I did notice was you could kind of feel the energy, and of course, you
Yeah.
could feel that it got very cold in that area.
Hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, that I've only seen one myself.
Yeah, and so you should be able to keep like do frequent readings and times and if the person's are they living there, did you say?
Yes. Yep.
So they should be able to keep a little notebook of like is it heightened at a certain time or a certain day or a certain time of the month or year, it depends. And some of them are just like an open door, and the problem is anything can come in.
And that's
So
what I
it's
told
it's
her.
a
I'm like,
very
anything can
bad.
come in if it's a portal.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping that it's not, because like the only thing we're getting is like a female voice, like a disembodied voice. Every time I go, I hear a female, and I'm catching like a little girl giggling on EVPs. And
Yeah, that's scary.
uh, and
The,
somebody
the,
told
the
her that
only thing that makes me
demons can
scared
be
about
mimicking
that,
little girls.
yeah, is that sometimes they appear as children. Sometimes they are children, but sometimes they are appearing as children, but they're not children.
Yeah,
So you just got to unravel that.
yeah. So I'm hoping to get some answers from whatever's there in the apartment,
Yeah.
just to to get it to maybe go, or
Well, yeah, you can definitely make that happen. It
yeah,
just depends on what it is and how you approach it and what's going on. But yeah, you want to
yeah.
make sure what it is first because it may literally be something that's not at all malicious and they just need to be brought to the light and you could cross them over. It's a beautiful thing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, yeah, just see where you're at with it first.
Yeah, thanks for that advice. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned that portal and the way your story was so you drew me in, and you're like, portal still open. I'm like, whoa, whoa,
Well, it has
whoa.
to
Okay.
be because I didn't close it. It doesn't. That can be done. It's just not. Depending on what the situation is, it becomes its own little animal. To
Mm-hmm.
tame. So yeah, that was crazy.
So, when I was reading this little bio from the website underneath your guys' names, Teal, you said that you have there's a misunderstood practice about remembering the dead. Like that really
Yeah.
intrigued me to want to have a little conversation about like different practices about remembering our
I
past
was
loved
I
ones.
was that way myself at one point because if I like to keep a lot of this at just arm's length. I grew up like a scared little kid. Like what is all of this? And so I never I thought and believed, and it is true to me that in memento mori, which is pieces of either braided hair, sometimes tooth, sometimes remembrances of people who have passed that used to be such a common thing. Actually, it's picking up a lot now ever since COVID. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't have all these photographs and all these things and memories to keep. It was sparse, and at the heightened time of the Victorians, it was just looked at differently. Like your loved one was still your loved one. They didn't turn into something scary and to be put away and never thought of or messed with, as soon as they died. They still embraced them. They loved them. They cleaned them. They would take pieces of their hair, whatever, and braid them and put them in the family frame or sometimes braid them together. And that was memories, that was their person. And they would lay them out and have wakes in the house and they would go visit them in the cemeteries. I mean, cemeteries used to be like the park, let's take the
Yes.
picnic and go visit, grandpa or whoever, and the whole family, the kids understood it as well as an adult. They all were versed in it. It was not an odd, weird thing. And they would try to
Mm-hmm.
contact the dead as just an after dinner thing. Okay, we're done eating. Let's go in the parlor and see if we can contact Aunt Tilly, whatever. It was just not given that pariah sense that has been given to it. It's we kind of are in a Puritan sense. We wanted to take that away, right? And so
Yeah.
it's a resurgence now of just remembering them. But I used to think, no, I don't want all that. And then I realized I was at an antique thing, not with Jamie. She wasn't over there checking out the dolls at the same time, but we should do that, Jamie. That would freak people out.
Oh yeah.
But I was at an auction and it was beautiful pieces, and it was braided hair and different jewels and things that were inside pins and even rings and stuff. And it was a group of three in a family. Well, they couldn't get what they wanted financially from this. And so they were going to split it up. And I thought, oh my gosh, there was so much history with it. And this one bracelet even was from the Mayflower. And I knew I had ancestors from the Mayflower. And I was like, you can't. They've been together all this time. You can't do it. So I bought them all and thought, oh Lord. And then I just kept collecting, keeping families together. I just, was like, you can't do it. So I would bring him home. And so I started out with absolutely, I would never do this, to now I've got over 100 pieces, so
That's a beautiful thing. I love that. I love that so
yeah,
much.
yeah,
And like with today's like digital photos, like a lot of memories are actually not being photographed anymore. They're being lost in your clouds in old cell
yeah.
phones. So we should start bringing back some of those old ways of remembering our loved ones.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just, you can do it in even a non-creepy way. I mean, I've, talked to people that they knew a loved one was going to pass soon. And I said, and they're like, oh, we're going to do this or that after. And I said, why don't you do it now? Why don't you all take pieces of your hair and let's braid them together and let's make some kind of memory picture along with like, what are your favorite flowers? We could dry those in there. We could put, does somebody like birds? Does somebody like a butterfly? And you could make a beautiful kind of a collage for photograph for your wall, frame it. And that can be a family heirloom that you all enjoy now. You don't
Heck
have to
yeah.
wait till the end. It can be something that
Hmm.
you celebrate right now. And it's just part of your family's heirlooms.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah,
Now, let me see. Just going through my questions because we're doing so good on time.
that's
So,
okay.
with your big paranormal group, the Para Hunters, do you guys like have a certain way that you like to tackle an investigation? Like, do you like go in and try to debunk things naturally and then go in like sweeping with EMF detectors first before like getting down to the paranormal?
That's what we're going to do at the library. We'll go through and take like base readings, I guess, if you will. Kind of
Yeah.
check it out, see what is it reading, what is it picking up, make notes of that. I did a field guide to the other side book where I've got, pages for investigations and stuff. And in that, I tell people, even look at the weather. Like, what's the temperature? What is it, a sunny day? Is it raining? Is it, because that affects everything, your equipment. It's going to affect all the stuff. So, and sometimes affect how they can come through because they ride in better with something that they can go through, whether that's the rain or the storm and the energy of the lightning. But yeah, we'll do that and then take readings, and then we'll just have a lot of cameras and trigger equipment, and then of course REM pods and K2s, and like Jamie, there really is great evidence with those dowsing rods. I don't care what anybody thinks; they're
I
great.
agree. Yeah.
So just kind of all the stuff in the kit, and then compile it at the end and see what we get. But they are hoping to designate that as a haunted library because it really is. I mean, they've had so many things happen, so maybe our investigation can help them along with that.
I hope so. Yeah. And I hope it has a great turnout as well.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any thoughts, Jamie, about the way you go in an paranormal investigation, or did Teal cover your side of it too?
Yeah, she covered it pretty well. Yeah, we always like to do that, go in and make sure, like you said, debunk things like, well, we all know this, if there's an air conditioner vent somewhere and then everybody says, oh, I feel a cold spot. Well, that's an air conditioning vent, just things like that. Yeah, we always want to double check everything and make sure of, natural things before we start passing it off as being paranormal. So, but definitely, I'm sure hoping to catch some good evidence so that way we can help the library and, because apparently they've caught things on their own, cameras and things. And of course,
Oh,
several people have made reports about having different things happen to them in the library. So,
like I wonder if some kids are like trying to sit there and get book and they start talking and then somebody just goes shh out of nowhere and I'm like, where did that come from?
They did pick
Yeah.
up a shh when they did an
Oh, that's
investigation.
scary.
I think it was in 2009, and they were going through and talking. And I guess, the librarian, they think it's Emily Fowler. It's Emily Fowler Library. They think it's Emily because that
Oh.
was her thing, like shh, and that came through loud and clear. And she did not like books that, even if you tried, like, okay, I tried to put the book back, but it's two pieces over, right? She didn't like that. So
Mm.
anything that was put, she would take a stack and put it at the end of the book, of the aisle. And that would still happen sometimes after she died. So people were like, they didn't do it and the library was closed. So maybe it was her.
Hmm. And it's named after her, right? So like, of
Yeah.
course she
Hmm.
would haunt the library she's named
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
Oh man, I hope she's there for you guys when you guys go
I
and do
know that
this.
would
Like,
be cool. It would be cool. So I hope we can pick something up. They did, at the Brandon Lee was from RIP. He was at the investigation helping too at the cemetery, and he picked up um, voices you could hear that calling his name and different things like that. And he picked up some orb, like a face that was in a tree, way too high to be a face, more than once. And he tried to debunk things. They're really big debunkers and couldn't do it, and there was quite a crowd out there trying to help him debunk. But it appeared to more than just him. So who knows? Maybe we'll get some good stuff this time.
oh, I hope so. So when you guys like the collecting of like haunted items and stuff and going to all these places that you've been to, have you ever gotten like an attachment?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
All the time. Yeah. And it seems like the bigger, like for me, I don't know, Jamie may be different for her, but like sometimes if I bring in a big piece, like a sideboard or, something like that into the house, it'll be really noisy you'll hear something like moving around or whatever. And I don't know if they're just like, hey, you're in my turf, or, well, hey, they put me here, if they're just trying to get used to each other or what. But yeah, you can. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot. How about you, Jamie?
Yeah, well, again, I don't have any abilities or anything, so I can't really sense anything. But I have several friends, including Teal, that are psychic or are an empath, and so they'll tell me, you've got somebody with you, but
Mhm.
they're just being nosy. They may be gone in a week or two, but they don't really do a whole lot in the house, like to me or at me or anything. I just have a couple of dolls that they do like to move. I have one doll that I always sit straight in her case, but she always turns and faces me because I sit on a certain end of the couch. So she always turns and faces me. But finally, I just quit moving her. I quit straightening her out. So if you want to sit there and stare at me, go ahead. So, and then I have a boy doll, but he's going the opposite way. So I'm not sure what his deal is. I keep saying I'm going to take him down and talk to him and see what's going on with him, why he keeps turning the opposite way from me. So anyway, but
Hmm.
yeah, I know I have them come home with me, but they usually don't mess with me or anything.
Hey, Jamie, tell her about when you were gone and you forgot to tell them
Oh,
with the fridge. They
yeah.
didn't like that.
So I always tell my dolls, when I'm going to be gone for a week or 3 days, whatever, I just tell them, hey, I'm leaving, watch the house, and I'll be back whenever. Well, one time I was leaving for like a week and I was in such a big hurry and I just threw everything in the car and just took off. And when I got down the road, I thought, oh no, I didn't tell them where I was going. And I thought, oh, well, they'll be okay. Well, then I get back and everything in the house is straight, normal, fine. And then I go to open the refrigerator and something had pushed everything in my refrigerator to the front and everything fell out on the floor. And so the first thing I thought was there an earthquake? But I looked all around the house. Everything was straight, pictures straight, everything's normal. So the only thing I could think of is maybe they got upset with me and pushed everything, to the front in the fridge, I guess, because I don't know how in the world everything could have been pushed to the front enough where it all fell out. So
Ah,
anyway, but yeah,
that's
so
a
I
heavy
blame
thing to
them. I
push
don't know.
too.
I'm sorry.
Wow. That was a
Yeah.
heavy item for a little baby doll to push.
Yeah,
That's
and it was
amazing.
everything. It wasn't just like even one or two items. Everything on the top shelf was
Wow.
pushed to the front and all fell out.
They threw a
So,
fit when you didn't tell them that you were going to be
yeah,
gone.
I don't think they like that too much. So I try to be really careful now, make sure and tell them when I'm leaving and
Definitely
when I'll
learned
be
your
back.
lesson there.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's awesome. So, um, for me, I'm a developing empath. Like I went through some experiences in 2018 and 19 that kind of got me seeing the spirit realm. And I was at the historical Prospect place in Ohio. I don't know if you guys know about that place, but it's like an underground railroad type of ghost story. And they had like this little mystic market out there in the front yard. So I went looking through the market after the tour, and I saw this scrying mirror that was made from framework of the house from the 1800s, and I was drawn to it, so I bought a scrying mirror.
Wow.
Do you guys have any advice for someone that's never used one before?
I haven't used one, but I tell you, they also are really powerful and they work. So I don't know. I'm not privy really. I've never used one, but I do know I've interviewed some people that have, and they really love them and feel like that becomes their best mode of communication with spirits. But I couldn't help you on that one. Jamie, have you?
I've done it once. I was actually at Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa. And what they did is they were doing an experiment and they set up three black mirrors, one at Malvern and one at McIntyre Villa, and the other one was at the Villisca Axe Murder House. And so I sat in front of the one in Malvern and, tried to talk and everything. Well, my reflection turned into this old white man with this long handles, what do they call it? Handlebar mustache and kind of
Hmm.
a beard. I did not like that. And I said, I'm done. I don't, so I didn't hear anything. That's all I saw was just the old man's face. And I was like, ugh, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be creepy.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
I
I didn't,
just
so that's,
cleansed it under the full moon, so I haven't used
so,
it yet because I had to clean it under the full moon, and it was a nice moon for it a couple nights ago. So I'm gonna try it out probably this weekend.
Oh, I
well,
can't wait to hear. Tell us what
yeah, I would like to
happens.
know how that turns
Yes.
out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, we have a guest that's wanting to join in. Should we let him in for a minute so he can say hi?
Sure.
Sure.
All right, let's welcome Slap Recon in, everybody. Can you see
Is
him?
this where I order pizza? Do I order the pizza here, or do I gotta drive around, or what we
Extra
doing?
pepperoni,
How you
black
guys doing?
olive. Hi, Slap.
Right? Yeah. No anchovies. I'm not that guy.
No, no, me either. And no pineapple. Keep it to
Yeah,
yourself.
no. So how you guys doing? I mean, I appreciate you guys coming to the podcast. I mean, what do y'all think?
Oh, love it. It's been such a fun time.
Make sure you push that
I,
book. Both of y'all got books, right?
yeah,
Yes,
we
about to
Okay,
do.
start
let's
asking
push
them
push
about their
them books
books.
because I don't see enough books on the Facebook, or I haven't. I'm talking as a layman, okay? So, but push them here. Push your books. Do you have your copy of your books?
Oh,
I
I sent
don't have
pictures,
one.
but yeah,
Yeah.
not
All right,
with me.
Teal.
But so
Teal, are
homes
you
of Denton.
at your home base, Teal?
I am.
Okay. What about you, Jamie?
Yes, I'm at home.
The reason I'm saying that is because I know that Jamie. Every time I look at you, you're in some other. I don't know where you're at, but you remind me of like when I used to work in the refineries, and I used to work out of town all the time. So I was always in a different. Who knew where I was going to be? But I look at you and I kind of see that. And
Yeah.
incidentally, just so y'all know, Marie Gatton Davis says she loves her pair of sisters.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
sweet.
She said to make
Yeah,
Thank
sure
we
you.
love
that I
her
mention
too.
that. Also,
Hugs back.
I want to mention that the live didn't go through. So for some reason it didn't kick in over here on this end, or I didn't catch it over here, and I went to the other side. I didn't catch it. Sometimes Facebook just does that. So
Yeah.
for whatever reason, but it doesn't matter because we're going to still post. I mean, we're still going to go anyway. Uh,
Sure,
but
sure.
that has happened in the past, not on this computer, that computer, or whatever.
Maybe we broke the internet.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that'd be
God!
so
Don't tell me
fabulous.
that. Y'all brought your paranormal, entities into this. Is that what y'all did?
Yeah,
So
it's
y'all
too much.
hexed us. Well, I know Melanie does a good job, and that's why I brought Melanie in and
Oh, she was
Taylor.
great.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that Taylor wasn't able. We're both sorry that Taylor wasn't able to be here. She had other problems, other engagements, something else she had to deal with. So, I mean, she's doing
Yeah.
good. So, how's it going, Melanie?
Good. We're doing good. we're just about to start wrapping up with them just to promote their books and promote any upcoming events and where people can find them, kind of thing. So yeah, we're doing great here. We're
So
telling
I
spooky stories.
so I
That's what
kind
we
of
were doing.
popped in a little early then, I guess, huh? Yeah. So anyway, that it is what it is, and I'm gonna let Melanie get back to it. But I do got a question for Jamie, just since you're here, because I've kind of like wondered just through, and in the back of my head, and I was always wondering, have you by any chance kept a record, or out of the top of your head, do you know how many places you've stopped?
I have no idea.
She lost count.
I would have to go back and look at the calendar, and it's been a lot though, and a
Yeah.
lot of repeat places too. So yeah. So like this coming up week, I'll be going back to a lot of the same places I've been to. We're going to go up to McIntyre Villa in Atchison, Kansas, and then we're going to go to Villisca, Iowa, to the Villisca Axe Murder House, and then run over to Malvern Manor, so in Malvern, Iowa. So
That's gonna be a spooky fun time.
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
but we're spending the night in McIntyre. Now, I've stayed in the McIntyre until like 2 o'clock in the morning, but I've never spent the whole night. So we're going to actually get to spend the whole night this time. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because I know that Melanie, she's actually wasn't, well, she's not too far from what was the Bob Mackey's. So,
Oh,
yeah, what are you, about an hour and something drive? Is that what he
About an
was?
hour. I'm like right in between Bobby Mackey's and Mothman. I'm in the
Oh,
woods in
okay.
Ohio.
oh
Oh, that's
wow.
I'm
interesting.
in spooky parts of Ohio.
Yeah, you
Oh,
are.
Have either one of y'all been to either one of those or seen the Mothman place or whatever?
No, not the
yeah.
Mothman. I've been outside Bobby Mackey, and Jamie's been in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've investigated Bobby Mackey's 2 or 3 times. And then we've
Hmm.
been to the Mothman. We went out to the what do they call it? The ammunition things,
The
and
TNT
looked all
place.
around. We didn't see anything, but we tried. We went out in the woods, trekking around.
So,
Now, did you touch the Mothman's shiny hiney when you was up there?
I did not.
Oh, come on. Next time if you guys go back to see Mothman, touch his shiny hiney and be in that shiny hiney club.
Oh,
That's
well, I didn't
funny.
know I was supposed to do that. I mean, we took a
Oh, it's a
picture in front
thing.
of
It's
it,
a
but
thing. Oh yeah, it's a thing. Everybody touches that butt.
That's funny.
I
wow.
never heard of the shiny hiney, but I don't know if I'm hearing that right, or is this something that I kind of like just don't want to bring up. I think
Mothman,
I
his
might want to
statue
stop
is
here.
just so enormous, and he's got like this 6 pack of abs. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And then
so
there's
okay, so
you
I'm
go
on the right
behind
kind
him.
of direction. It's a
Right, right. You go
okay.
behind him, and he's got this really shiny butt, and everybody just wants to touch it.
But let me ask you this, Melanie. You touched it?
Absolutely.
Oh, I just uh, I'd be kind of
We'll have to
like.
share that photo with you.
Well,
That's
next
funny.
time I go back, I'll have to be sure and touch his butt then.
There you go.
Definitely, definitely.
Tap the ass. Okay. And also Denton, Texas. What's going on in Denton? I heard you had something going.
Well, yeah, they're doing. I wrote Haunted Denton, and they are doing. They're leaning into Halloween like a lot of cities lean into Christmas. And they are doing 31 days of Halloween in Denton and lots of events. And I had 4 of them for them, and the team's on 2 of them. So we investigated just last Sunday the International Order of Oddfellows Cemetery. And then this Sunday, tomorrow, we're going to be at Emily Fowler Library doing an investigation. So it'll be fun.
When I first saw that memo, or I think the post or whatever that y'all were going to be in Denton, Texas, I really, really tried to be out there because I really wanted to do a slap recon out there on my page. The only
That would be
reason,
great.
yeah, the only reason I wasn't able to make it was because I have some other things going. I have some personal things that are going on right now, and however, my son lives in Denton and he teaches out
Oh,
there.
All right, that was Slap Recon, everybody.
he's fun.
Now,
I like
I did
him.
have a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Sure.
So it said on the website that Teal is a sacred site traveler. What makes a
Yeah.
site sacred?
You know what? That's a good question. There's a book coming out about that. And I'm
Promote
calling
that
it
book.
Sacred Derkos, which is sacred spelled backwards. What does make something, a pilgrimage, like sacred for hundreds of years, maybe thousands, I mean, or decades, it depends because there's newer ones and older ones. But what makes a place something that people will really pilgrimage to? Like, and it's difficult. Back when there weren't anything but your feet, and they would go sometimes hundreds of miles to get to a place. And what makes something actually so dark that just no matter what you try, it is always something negative or not, deadly at a place? What makes something that way? I do think that sometimes it's ley lines. There's ley lines all over the earth, and I do think that flow of energy is, it's obviously different going from different things. I think that the place, depending on what has happened there. I think that maybe some places were not originally, let's say, evil, as some people like to pin that word onto it, or dark. I don't like to pin evil to anything because to me, that's a whole nother conversation. But some dark or tragic, I'll go with tragic, things.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think a place wasn't necessarily set to be that, but something very tragic, horrible murders, could be even awful things that happened with, uncontrolled weather, terrible floods or hurricanes or tornadoes where many people were killed. Anything that could trap energy, and that different energy. There's beautiful, healing, higher level frequency energy that people can go in and be in these spaces and come out healed or much better, and then there's some places people visit and they just feel ominous, they feel threatened, they feel dark. And I think it holds either that higher vibration of happiness and joy, the same as deep sorrow, fear can grip and hold a place, and it's just recorded in that memory. That's why I think hospitals are so haunted, because you have the mix of great joy. Oh my gosh, I'm healed. Oh, I have a baby. Oh, this is amazing. Everything went great. And then you have all the things and the tragic deaths and things didn't go well. So you have that mix of that all embedded. And I think it really, at some places, it's so intertwined, it's hard to unravel. So I do think you have, sacred places that are, beautiful healing pilgrimages. I think you have dark places where dark deeds have happened just over and over in that space. And I think you have a kind of an in-between mix where it's just tangled.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful answer. You
Oh,
covered that so good. Yes. I
thank you.
love that. Yeah. So, and Jamie, your book, Respectable Ghost Hunting, am I
Yes.
saying that right?
Yes.
Respectful Ghost Hunting. How
Yes.
did you come up with that? Like, is that just
Well,
like a
actually,
guide?
me and my friend Susan wrote it together. And what we wanted to do was, first of all, try to make sure that people understand that, these ghosts are human, or most of them are human spirits. And so they're people just like me and you. And so you need to be respectful. It's just like, when you go into these haunted places, that's their home. So it'd be like me
Yes.
coming into your home and saying, hey, dance for me, do this, do that. I demand you to do this, or I demand you to do that. We don't do that. When we go into a place, we introduce ourselves, and then we just sit down and start talking to them, because we've learned that a lot of times if you can talk to them about life stuff, who are their kids, what kind of candy did you like, uh what was your favorite color, anything like that, a lot of times
Yeah.
you get more out of that than you do, the same questions over and over. How did you die? When did you die? That kind of thing. And so, but just being very respectful to them. And then also to the places that you go into. A lot of places have been shut down because very haunted places have been shut down because hunters have gone into there and then made a mess of things, tore
Hmm.
things up and just left it and things like that. So, be respectful of the place and of the spirits that are in there. And then also we went to cover some of the equipment and how it works and things like that. And then of course we told some of our own personal stories about what got us started, and then, the different places that we had been to at that time when we wrote the book. But since I've written the book, I've been lots of other places. So a lot of people
Yeah.
keep asking me, when are you going to write another book? And I'm like, oh my goodness, whenever I get time, I have no time
Yeah.
to do anything.
But do you have plans in the future for another book for sure?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I would like to, but again, it's just a time thing. And I look at it as I would like to do a book, but I would rather live life and do as much as I can while I'm here instead of, taking that time to write books because I do travel quite a bit. I would say I'm home maybe 5 or 6 weekends out of the year. Other than that,
Wow.
I'm gone. And so, yeah, so I just don't have a lot of time. And then I work full time, working in physical therapy and stuff. So I work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And occasionally I have to cover we do have an inpatient hospital that we have to cover occasionally. And so, it's just time. I don't have a whole lot of extra time.
Because you're just out there living life in the moment. I love that.
Trying to.
That's a beautiful thing. Well, where can everybody find your books at?
Well, Amazon for both of us, I think. Amazon and Barnes and Noble for me. You can find mine anywhere, but Amazon has them all for I think both of us.
Yes.
All right. And do you have like a social media that you guys would want to share where to find like your evidence from the Parahunters?
Well, you can go to parahunters.com, and also on Facebook you can like and follow Parahunters, PARAHUNTERS.
All right, everybody hear that? But make sure you like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, okay? And we'll probably put some links in the YouTube for this video when it comes out on YouTube for your books, so we can promote your books out there.
Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you guys for being here with me today. I've had a great conversation with y'all.
Oh, Melanie, it's been great and great to meet you. I hope we get to talk again.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe sometime in the future our paths will cross again. But yeah, when you guys hang up and leave, make sure when don't delete anything or close out the app until it says 100%.
Just hit leave and then don't touch anything for a bit, right?
Yeah, just let it upload.
Okay.
Once it's done uploading, then you can get rid of it. Ugh.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Hey, let me know how the portal thing goes.
Definitely. I'll probably send you guys friend requests on Facebook if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Sounds good. I think we might be now since we talked. I think it may have clicked in, but either way, yeah.
All right, one last question. Since we're close to Halloween, what's your favorite Halloween traditions?
Ghost hunting.
Ghost hunting. I think mine is to make those wishes, like I like to send out blessings to everybody that's gone on and to all those who may be lost and to, the souls of animals, everything, like the whole world. It's a great time to send out just uplifting blessings to everybody. It's a great time for everything to be spooky. And I think we all love that. But at the same time, it's also a perfect time between now and also Christmas, because Christmas really is the original Halloween. That's when the veil is actually thin. That's when the ghost stories all started. But it didn't sit well with everybody, so they moved it to October. But it's a great time. It's the whole season of time that everything is closer and they have more ability to reach through and communicate. So I just like to remember them too, in a different way, energetically.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Well, ladies, thank you again for joining me at Explain Strange podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that was the Parahunters. Wasn't that an amazing conversation, you guys? I love it. So, thanks for joining me on Explain Strange podcast. The strange is out there, and we're here to question all of it. Join us next time for more unexplained mysteries and unsettling phenomena. And always remember, my friends, stay spooky.